Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to part 3 of our short little series on how to use paint stains. And this time we're going to use stains to paint our giant Conan here. So part 1 was our two-headed ogre Etten figure. That was kind of the introductory to paint stains, and then we had a lot of fun painting our beholder. We got to use a lot of funky colors here, and now we're gonna try to tackle human skin. Hopefully you watched the other two videos, because I'm gonna try not to repeat myself a whole bunch on this one, assuming that you did. But just in case, I'll run over the whole principle of the paint stains for you. First of all, we start off with our cavalry brown, because it's always good to put our skin tone over a warm tone rather than putting it over our black primer. And our canvas color for our skin is going to be Vallejo Panzer Ace's New Wood. This is a barbarian, so I want a very brown, bronzed skin tone for this guy, so we're going to go with New Wood. I normally wouldn't use this color because it doesn't have enough warmth in it for me, but we're going to add the warmth in using our stains. As mentioned many times before, paint stain is basically a very heavy paint wash. The difference being that usually with the wash you only want it in the recesses. With the paint stain you actually want it to stain our surface paint color. So by doing this, I'm getting a majority of the color into the recesses, but you can see I'm adding a darker, richer red tone to our New Wood. As paint stains go, this is a little bit on the thinner side. Sometimes I put it on very thick, but I don't want too red of a skin. And also I applied this twice. Much like with layering, we can build up our color by applying multiple layers. So the first coat was an overall coat, and then our second coat is more concentrating in the recessed areas that I want to start building up more and more of a richer, darker color. Also, we are stippling this color on because the one thing you want to avoid is brush strokes, and by that I mean visible brush strokes where there's clearly a line, in this case of heavy sienna, across our New Wood. So by stippling it on, we get a broken pattern and we won't end up with any lines. It's better, and it's actually easier to apply as well. From here on out, process is fairly simple. We are just applying more of a wash consistency now and slowly building up the color, working it deeper and deeper into our recesses using a darker and darker wash. So I've gone for Hull Red now, which has a bit more red in it. It's a darker red color, and also mixed with Charred Brown, which is a darker brown. Again, we have this color thinned, so it's kind of like applying layering in reverse. Rather than going lighter and lighter with our colors, we're going darker and darker. And this technique it's really ideal for using on larger scale figures like this. Painting in the recesses like this on a small 28mm figure, not always possible, but you could definitely reach the brush wherever you needed to go in a case like this, in a figure of this size. And what we're doing by adding all these different colors is we're getting a whole lot of different colors in our skin tone. So remember, we have the New Wood color we started off with, and then the heavy sienna, and then a double coat of that, and now a double coat of our Hull Red and Charred Brown mixture. Majority of this stippled on, so we're getting a lot of wonderful variation in our skin tone, and that's moving us away from how I would normally paint skin on, say, a 28mm figure, where it's very clean and orderly, almost like kind of a Barbie doll painting. With the larger scales here, again, you have a lot more space to put a lot more character into the skin. We finally get to deepest, darkest shade areas. For that, we're using Camo Black Brown. And you can see working into the deepest recesses, good example right there, that back where The back disappears into the tunic area, around the neck where the hair drops. Also, most of the areas where the clothing meets skin, where we want a bit of a dark line there, we'll go ahead and apply this camo black brown wash. So that was very easy to do, a lot of fun just playing around with different colors, stippling everything on. Now we get to the cleanup stage, which is always the difficult part, trying to figure out what mixture of colors we need to use, not based on what we used before necessarily, but what is currently the current color on the miniature. Going to the colors used before often does work, and in this case it did work. Back to our Panzer Ace's new wood, and managed to mix a little heavy sienna into that, and I got a good coat. Remember, this is the cleanup stage, this is not a highlight. All I want to do here is slightly smooth out any roughness in the skin, smooth out those areas where the highlights are going to go. Also, getting a good starter point on our base coat here for mixing our paints. So I basically reset our formula using Panzer Aces with a little bit of heavy sienna in it. So from here, I can go ahead and add the highlights and basically simplify them. From the heavy sienna, we move to just straight new wood. And then from there, I'm just going to add some elf skin tone to our new wood and proceed to add 3 highlights. So from here on out, we're basically doing the same thing as layering. It is layering. Notice I'm still kind of stippling a little bit, but I'm stippling with thinned paint, basically layering paint, and just slowly building up that color using a little bit of stippling just to get a little bit of texture to that skin. Again, variety is key here. Stay away from that Barbie doll, smooth, single color look skin. And then after our new wood, as I said, we're going to mix in a little bit of elf skin tone 3 times. I'm only showing you 2 here because one didn't come out too well on video. As we get to the finer highlights, the final highlights, we can switch to a more accurate brush where we're painting finer details, nose, knuckles, where I want to be a little bit more precise. Also, when it comes to painting larger scale figures, especially when you're painting something smooth and round like muscles we're doing here, don't be afraid to thin your paint more than usual. That's often necessary when you're painting surface areas like the bicep here, which has that roundness to assure that we don't get any brush strokes. Thin the paint a little bit more than you normally would, and just slowly build it up and do an extra highlight if necessary, just to take smaller steps as you work through your highlight chain. So rather than highlight 1, 2, and 3, do like 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and just work it up. Take baby steps rather than giant leaps when doing highlighting on large surface areas. Once our highlights are done, we can call it quits, or we can move on to the glazing stage to add even more color to our figure. In this case, I'm going with military green, putting it in the shadow up to the base coat areas because this is a very Frazetta looking skin tone, so he always uses a lot of greens in his skin tone. So very, very thin coat of military green, just carefully placed here and there. I'm not trying to turn the skin green, just adding a little bit of a green hint to it in a few key places. And then for my highlight glaze, going with my standard game color gory red. And remember, this is doesn't go over all the highlights, it's just adding a little bit more warmth to wherever I think it's needed. Usually it's knuckles, knees, nose, and cheekbones, right under the cheekbones. And occasionally I kind of put it a lot of places. It really depends on just how the highlights came out. If I think they're a little bit too pale, want a little bit more warmth in them. Just remember, Whenever you're doing glazes, first coat should be virtually imperceptible. It's the second and third coat where the color really starts coming out. So don't try to rush your glazing. Give it time, slowly build it up. Our final glaze, going with a purple color for the recesses. I have royal purple. I decided that was a little bit too purple for what I wanted. Want a little bit more warmth in the shadows, so mix in a little bit of that gory red. And much like with the military green, this is going more in the deepest recesses, so adding a little bit of color and warmth to our deepest shadows. Our final glaze is going to be for his 5 o'clock shadow. Conan forgot to shave today. Going back to our skin colored new wood, mixing that with Oxford blue, and again applying it like a glaze, slowly building up the color with about 3 coats, just to get a little discoloration around the cheeks, chin, and lip. And just a little bonus, because apparently I forgot to turn the camera off, you could always often you want to do a little bit more color around the eyes, so you can see I just grabbed some of that royal purple to give a little bit of discoloration around the eyes. You can use a dark blue with this. In this case, I'm going with the royal purple, mainly because it was there. And with that, we have one skinned Conan. I'm sure I've said it before, but I'll say it again. The paint stain method, one of my favorite painting methods that I've ever come up with. It's very carefree. You can see we're just throwing colors, washes, and stains on it at the beginning, and then we just do the cleanup work and regular highlighting, layering in the end. And we get so much variety in the skin when doing that. And it's also a really great technique for larger scale figures like this, where you can really work the colors into the recesses. It's a little bit more difficult if this was like a 28mm miniature, but those big pieces, especially with the stippling, layering on large round surface areas like this can be difficult, so that stippling of all those layers makes things a lot easier as well. And I know the color variation in the figure you can't see too well, so I'm going to show you some close-up pictures, which I don't like to do. Please don't point out the mistakes, because this is getting very close. But you can see all the color variation in the skin when I show you this, hopefully. So you see all that subtle blue, that very small hint of green, the purples, the blues, whatever, the assorted browns, how they all come together in the end. And it just really adds to the piece, I think, much, much better than if we, again, just went for a perfectly clean anime or Barbie skin tone. This has variety, this has character, and it was very fun to paint. So I hope this inspired you to try paint stains, try something new, and just throw colors on a miniature, see what happens, and have fun with it. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
We're going to have leadership the way my old man told me. You put a handkerchief on your head. You spotted imaginary elves. You rock on the porch all night.